Coming up after the break, the Pokemon Go craze is spreading around the globe. And now it looks like at least one other company is making a deal to cash in. The roundup is next. The Pokemon craze is more than just fun. Investors are betting it has potential to be a big moneymaker. And there's word McDonald's in Japan wants to cash in too. That story kicks off the roundup. Nicole Verkindt is president of OMX, and I have on very good authority, okay, you admitted it, you play Pokemon.
I started this afternoon. I was sitting at, nice restaurant in Toronto here and downloaded the app and created my little avatar. And oh, there's a Pokemon sitting right next to me, or in the table next to me. So I probably looked a little bit creepy with my phone sort of facing at the chair across from me. But it's extremely insightful in terms of what's happening and how this has changed. How this technology has really changed the game, and the game is a game changer, I believe. I work primarily in defense and aerospace and in big manufacturing industrial markets with our technology, and we're seeing the gaming sector disrupting that sector by changing the way we train people on the factory floors and the intersection between virtual reality, training, e-learning, all these different intersections. So I really see Pokemon as being insightful in terms of how this is changing. I mean, it's getting people up. They're walking around. They're staring at their phones, but at least they're outside, and it's the summer. And I know it's taken over Toronto and the rest of Canada. I don't know if it justifies the massive stock increase that we saw, but it reminds me from a stock increase perspective of the situation when Yahoo invested in Alibaba, and they saw that huge lift in their own stock. But it was really just a small investment they made.
Yeah, and we do have a chart about the stock price increase, which is striking and dramatic, but where are the deals behind that incredible spike, as you're seeing coming up on the screen there? Because McDonald's in Japan is in, but everyone else perhaps late to the party?
Well, I think a lot of what I can see, I think a lot of retail, a lot of companies are going to want in on this. I mean, if there's how many people are playing Pokemon, but more downloads than Twitter. If there's that many people playing this game and it's that addictive and it's that sticky, now this could be a craze. It could go away. We're not sure.
That's
but if it's that sticky and it's bringing people around the city, and I mean, yesterday there was a swarm of people at the ferry terminal because you could lure Pokemons there. And so if it's that sticky, then what's to say we can't lure more people into McDonald's restaurants? We can't lure more people into more stores. So I think, but I think what's insightful is human behavior and how we have caught on to this game. Adults, is mostly adults I've seen, have caught on to this game, both. But we have now caught on to this game, and it's taking us outside, and we're interacting in the real world, and I think it's going to change retail, and it's going to have a big impact on a lot of sectors, like I mentioned earlier with training and e-learning, and sort of intersection between virtual reality and real and reality.
I was stunned the other night. There was a gang of kids all lined up outside my local library branch, and no, they weren't after books.
Well, the game was taking me today to different historical sites across Toronto, which I liked. It took me to monuments and fountains, so there's some good aspects to it.
But shouldn't companies have seen this coming? I mean, this craze is real. There's people all over the place, off the couch, as I said earlier. But isn't now the time to have the deals in place to make the money while people are doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the brands absolutely should be partnering with organizations like Pokemon. Could they have seen it? I mean, it's happened so quickly.
You're not surprised that the companies aren't out there, or do you think the deals are being done right now?
Well, I think a lot of deals are happening in the virtual reality space and the gaming space, and gamification being applied to older, non-sexier industries. Those deals have been happening now for a couple of years, and I think there's a lot of predictions, and all the big corporations are understanding that this is the future. But it's another example of Nintendo, which is a very old brand. It was big when I was a kid playing with the console. Their stock is being impacted by innovation that happened from a Google spin-out and that they invested in. And so the innovation and this dramatic rise is not happening from innovation within the Nintendo company itself, but it's a brand that was developed outside of that company. So it's another example of true innovation happening, in the startup community that's applying to big corporations that McDonald's is going to leverage off of, for example.
Yeah, we'll see who catches the profits. Okay, I need to change, and I have to act like I'm a millennial here. IKEA is going to accept PayPal in Canada for online purchases. The millennials would say, yeah, of course, why not? You think it's more important than that?
I think this is a big story. This is a much bigger story about consumers and the impact that that we have when we buy something with a credit card. And for all the people out there that are using credit cards just to make transactions simpler, they're not using it to actually borrow money. We're seeing from stories like this how expensive it is to use credit cards and how expensive it is for retailers. And don't kid yourself, that's what's being reflected in the price. So we're paying for it as consumers. And I think this duopoly with Visa and MasterCard has been around in Canada for a long time. The Canadian government tried to go after them. I don't believe they were successful. There was something in place where they had to keep their fees below 1.5%, but 1.5% is extremely high for small businesses, and so you don't buy a small ticket item. You don't buy something that's $2 and pay with a credit card because retailers don't like you doing that. Have you noticed? I know I have.
Well, but IKEA is not a small business, and does this signal something big is going to happen? And should these credit card companies be really worried at this point?
That's a great point. So it affects small business, but big businesses are also saying, look, this is a big fee that we're paying. And so the Canadian government was unsuccessful in going after this duopoly, but IKEA is one that has switched to PayPal for their online business, but we've also seen Walmart say, their whole thing is low prices, and they're saying we don't want to pay the Visa fees either. And so I think we're going to see now big corporations are saying we need to look into more competition in the payment space, and that's where fintech companies are going to come into play here. And PayPal is just one, but there's lots of others that can connect your bank account directly to that retailer and not have to go through this credit card, especially if you don't need the capital. It's just a mechanism for a transaction. We're going to see a lot of innovation in this space, and hopefully the banks allow it. I think that's going to be the sticky point in Canada. Whereas in the United States, Apple Pay was a no-brainer. It was installed right away. The fees were kept low for Apple Pay because there's so many banks in the U.S., but in Canada, everything's harder.
What does it tell you that a lot of Canadians think it would be a good idea if ticket scalpers using those bots and scooping up all those tickets to concerts would get hefty fines and possibly even jail time? Now, I know somebody in our meeting this morning said you can get people to agree to anything in a survey, but these were big numbers.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 surveyed said maybe jail time because, darn it, I want to see the Stones.
So I think the reason why people are saying that why people are so upset is that some concerts in particular are very emotional for them. I'm going to Dave Matthews tonight. I love that band. Tragically Hip's a favorite, especially in Canada. That was a very emotional process for a lot of Canadians, especially with Gord Downie's sickness. So I think when it comes to concerts and music and something people are very emotionally tied to, they feel emotional about the problem. When it comes to the bots themselves, I hate beating up on technology. Maybe I'm a little biased. I run a tech company. But I think the system itself is actually broken, and you can't blame the bots. I think what you need to blame is the initial ticket price. The ticket price is way too low. We are getting away from prices altogether with things like surge pricing and marketplaces and letting the market decide what the true price should be. And I think that system is a system that's broken. I think the artists are releasing tickets at super low prices, and then we're allowing this secondary market to emerge, which is what the real problem is, not the bots.
Okay, last topic. What does it tell you that there's so much attention being paid to these 2 Canadian pilots arrested in Scotland for a flight that was coming to Toronto on allegations that they were drinking and couldn't fly safely? What's it tell you that is getting so much attention today?
Well, I guess there was 2 famous interior designers on Twitter, too, right, on that flight. I think it was a PR nightmare. Air Transit is a smaller airline. They don't have as many pilots or as many flights. They don't have the same systems in place as some of these bigger airlines. And I think they didn't react quick enough in terms of communicating.
All right. Thank you very much for this. Enjoy the concert.
Thanks, Albert. Nice to be here.